Hi, in this short video I'm going to be guiding you through all the basics to creating that perfect block paved driveway. Along the way I'll show you which tools to use, what materials you'll need, and I'll take you through the whole process one step at a time. When we get to the end of the video I'll repeat the 5 key points that help ensure you create a great looking driveway you can be proud of. So make sure you have a pen and paper handy. Let's get cracking with the work.
All good jobs start with a plan. So we first need to think about the design of the driveway. Things to take into account include its size, colour, pattern and style. You also need to decide on whether you want it to be a more traditional or contemporary effect.
For our project we're using the Bradstone Monksbridge blocks in the Croft multicolour option. This will help create a durable, traditional looking drive with courses of different size of blocks running across the driveway like the cobbled streets of old. Monksbridge has 4 different sizes of block in each pack, so it's just a matter of working out how big the driveway will be, adding a little bit extra for wastage, and then buying sufficient packs to cover the area.
It's important you're aware of the planning regulations which relate to driveways and residential properties in England and Wales.
As the driveway slopes back towards the house, we're installing a linear drainage channel to intercept the surface water before it gets to the house or garage.
The first physical task in laying your driveway is excavation. To work out the depth to dig down to, certain things need to be taken into account. Most block paving is 50mm thick, and you'll need a laying course of sand that's around 40mm thick, plus a sub-base that is somewhere around 100 to 150mm thick. All this needs to be at least 150mm below the damp-proof course of the house, so overall you need to dig down to a level that's roughly 350 to 400mm below the damp-proof course. At the end of the excavation you should have a good, clean level area and will be able to press on with the next task, the edge restraints. The concrete we're using for the edges is a 6:1 mix, so that's 6 parts all in 1 ballast to 1 part cement.
Right, we're ready to lay the edge restraints. As you can see I've got a few stacks of blocks close by ready to be laid. These are the same blocks as we'll use on the rest of the driveway. We've set up a string line as our guide for level. We just want a little bit of cross fall to make sure that any surface water goes into the drain. Okay, we've got now a good line of edge restraint blocks laid and we're happy with the alignment and level. So next we need to haunch them, sometimes known as backing up. This simply involves laying more concrete to the outside edge of the block, staying 25mm from the top to hold them in place and prevent them from moving sideways when we lay the rest of the paving.
The sub-base is a layer of crushed rock or stone that gives the driveway the strength and support to bear the weight of vehicles. We're using the best quality material, a crushed aggregate referred to as DTP1, but more commonly called MOT1 or just plain Type 1. Once you're happy with the sub-base, you can move on to the real fun, laying the blocks.
There's a bit of an awkward start with this short path that leads to the back gate, so we'll start here and then work forwards towards the driveway.
Make sure you don't stand on the carefully screeded bed we've just prepared. So think about where to place blocks while they're waiting to be laid and work out how you're going to get those first few tricky courses laid. So first course goes down, with each block being laid hand tight against the previous one. And now, as you can see, almost all the driveway is covered with blocks. The only gaps are where blocks need to be cut, and that will be our next task.
With a fairly simple layout such as this coursed pattern, the cutting in is relatively easy. When blocks are laid at angles or where there are arcs and curves, it can become a bit more tricky, but this is relatively straightforward and shouldn't take too long.
Before cutting a block, you need to make a mark where it needs to be cut. You could measure using a rule or simply hold the block in position where it's to be laid. Then use a piece of slate or marking chalk to scratch a mark for the cutting line. There are 3 very different tools that are commonly used for cutting block pavers: a hammer and bolster chisel, a block splitter, or a power saw. It's best to leave power saws to the professionals, so you should either use a bolster chisel and hammer or block splitter.
Cutting in can seem like a bit of a slow job after the mad rush of block laying, but neat, accurate cutting in can make the difference between a really good looking job and one that's a bit of a disappointment. Take your time, don't expect every piece to fit perfectly, and soon you'll notice you're getting better and better, and before too long you'll be fitting that very last piece.
Now the driveway is almost finished, but there are 2 more tasks to carry out before it's ready to be used. The first of these is to fill the gaps between the blocks with a dry kiln-dried jointing sand. This is a job that can only be done when the surface is dry. So, on to the last task, the compaction of the blocks, hammering them down into the sand bed you carefully created earlier and shaking that kiln-dried sand down into the joints to give a firm and stable block-paved driveway. You'll see the sand sink into the joints as the machine passes over. Generally speaking, 3 or 4 passes will be enough to do the job. Now's the time to sweep up the surplus you left behind and use it to top up all the gaps to make sure that all the joints are filled to the top. And there you have it. The job is complete, and as long as the concrete on the edge courses is hard, you can drive onto the block paving straight away.
If you think back to the beginning of this video, you'll remember I said I'd go over all the essential points again, so now's the time to get your pen and paper ready. First of all, now that you've got a clearer idea of how much work is involved, you may want to employ a professional to do the work. If that's what you want to do, then we recommend using an experienced and accredited member of the Bradstone Assured team. Secondly, if you are keen to do it yourself, then remember the key to success is in the preparation. Firm edge restraints laid on and haunched with concrete, and a sound sub-base of top quality crushed stone. Thirdly, make sure your bedding sand is damp before you spread it to prepare your screeded bed. Keep checking your alignment and levels. It's so easy for blocks to start drifting off course, and it's very tricky to get everything back in line, so check regularly. Follow these simple guidelines and you can have a driveway to be proud of.